And is this thing on? This thing is on. All right, I'm back. Man, I'm not gonna hold y'all. I had to change some settings in my computer and then I came back and they were all unconfigured and I wasn't feeling that. And then I tried to get my mic to work and it wasn't working. So I didn't think this was gonna go down. But I'm here. I'm here. That means it was meant to be, which you love, because it's your boy Mike. And this is from the dish. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I'm just gonna jump right in on this one. It's been a surprising couple of weeks. Obviously, by the title, you can tell we're gonna talk about the Central. And we're gonna talk about both Centrals. Actually, we're gonna talk about the AL and the NL side of things. And I got a couple questions that I'm gonna ask myself. But as I ask them, I want y'all to think about it too. Uh, because it's still so early in the season. We're in week 3, I believe. It's the 3rd week of the season. So it's really weird looking at numbers right now because the sample size is still kind of off. You're seeing guys at about 70 plate appearances now. I'm recording this on Monday, April 15th, tax day. Y'all will probably get this on Tuesday, the 16th. But yeah, it's just a weird time to evaluate, as it always is at this time of year. But that doesn't stop us. We're still going to predict. We're still going to wonder. And you know what? I might end up wrong. I probably will be wrong because as far as we've been into the season, I'm already wrong. I'm just going to start off with the Cleveland Guardians. Oh my goodness. Have y'all seen them play baseball recently? I had to really dive into the numbers because I was like, there's just, I don't see it. I didn't like, during my season previews, I talked about the Guardians and I thought that they were gonna just be some fringe team. But holy shit, they've come out and they've really made a statement. They've really made a statement in the first couple of weeks. They're 11-5. They're leading the AL Central. They've been playing some really good ball, man. Um, First thing I look at in when the season is this young is I like to look at the schedule. I like to see who they've played. I mean, I like to do that during the season anyway, but especially during the beginning because we don't have much to really work with here. So we got to work with what we got. Um, I'm someone who's big on the Yankees. I think that they are the best team in the American League at their best. And yeah, the Cleveland Guardians, they went in there. They lost 2 out of 3. One was played. I'm sorry, they had a doubleheader on Saturday. That was the 13th. And then on the 14th, they were on the verge of a sweep and they came back. And I thought that was pretty fascinating. And they put up 8. And then they played the White Sox, beat the brakes off the White Sox earlier in the week, especially during their home opener. They dropped one of those games in the middle, though. And then after that, they've played the Twins and they've played the Mariners. I'm going in backwards. I'm going backwards here. But yeah, I mean they've played some formidable foes outside of the White Sox. I'm someone who thinks the Mariners are a pretty solid team. I they're used to these slow starts, so I'm not really worried about Seattle. They've been a second half team for the last couple of years anyway. So not really too worried about their slump right now. I think that that's still a solid ball club. You go over to Minnesota, they've got a lot of injuries right now, but that's also still a really solid ball club. And the White Sox, they're looking like the worst team in the league. And then obviously you have the Yankees. They got the Red Sox coming up. So the Guardians, they've played some teams with some guys on them. Uh, so I really like what they've been doing. I really had to dive into the numbers again because I was just confused as to what was going on. But I saw what it was right off the bat. I'm looking at Stephen Kwan. Stephen Kwan is going off. His hard hit percentage was pretty low at 16%, which is some of the worst in the league. But the man's batting 350. You're batting 350. I mean, you don't have to hit the ball hard. But I will say this, it does concern me. It does make me feel as if a slump is going to come. But hey, look, if he can keep the ball in the air, then there's nothing really worry about there. Jose Ramirez is still going to be Jose Ramirez. Uh, and then Andres Jimenez is becoming one of my favorite players to watch. the way he plays defense is just it's just so poetic, man. I was watching the game the other night, and he was going to his right, so towards the shortstop. He slid. He was on his knees, looked like he had no chance. And then he just rifled the ball to first base and got the runner out. I don't remember who it was, but I was just so fascinated by the play, and I was like, this dude right here, his range is exceptional. When he gets on base, he can be a threat there. He had 30 stolen bases last year, so I really like what Andres Jimenez is cooking. Keep doing your thing, my man. But he's also someone who you want a little bit more out of the bat, especially when it comes to the power department. Um, he had 15 dingers last year, which in this day and age, that 15 will get you by. You're not a prolific hitter or anything like that by any measure, but you know, you'll take a 15 home run guy. And then you know, he's someone who also he can get some triples. He stretches the ball out and he gets some triples, he gets doubles. So I do like what Andres Jimenez is cooking here. I just would hope that he would hit a little more than he does, and then I think he can really become a complete ball player. And then we're talking about someone who's a legitimate threat with Jose Ramirez in this lineup. Um, and yeah, I mean, obviously they got Bo Naylor and they got Josh Naylor, the Naylor brothers. Josh Naylor is also going berserk, berserk. Um, I don't know his slugging off the top of my head, but I think it's like 700 or something. Guy has 700 slugging. Again, it's a few weeks, but oh my God. And then he's not striking out. He's walking more. Josh Naylor has come out and really become a threat at 26 years old, manning first base over there in Progressive Field. I really like what he's cooking. And he's got this fire to him. He's got this energy. So I say all of this to say that I do like some of the guys on the Guardians, but I do feel like a lot of their guys are going to come back down to earth. Um, but I've been wrong so far. Their pitching has been good too. We got if you're talking about the Guardians, you got to talk about the pitching. There was some devastating news last week when Shane Bieber went down with Tommy John surgery. He is out for the remainder of the 2024 season. Very unfortunate for Cleveland there. He was someone that was in trade talks before the season started. He didn't even know if he was going to be a Guardian. He came out and he was balling, and here he is now repairing his elbow. So that really stings if you're Cleveland. Um, the rest of the rotation, obviously, I mean, it goes without saying, they're going to have to pick up the slack to even kind of make up for the absence of Shane Bieber. So I don't know. I've been wrong so far. That's what I'll say. I'll leave it at that. I've been wrong so far when it comes to the Guardians, and I will acknowledge that. But another team that I really like in this division is the Detroit Tigers. In the season preview, I also said how I think they got something cooking there. And I like a lot of the guys on this team. I know the numbers aren't jumping off the page, not right now, but the fact that they're just finding ways to win ball games. Every time I tune into a Tigers game, they're doing the little things, and I think that counts for so much. So I really hope that this is a team that stays on track because I do like a lot of the guys. Um, Kerry Carpenter, I would say he's probably my favorite out the bunch right now. Riley Green is also a baller. Riley Green, he's got an OBP of 362 right now. So on base machine. You'd like to see him hit the ball a little bit more. You want to see him get a couple more, find some more grass, hit the ball a little harder. But I really do like what Riley Green's got cooking too. Um, so I do like this Tigers team. I do. I'm not saying that they're world beaters or anything like that, but they've got some guys on this team, and I think that if it all comes together and they continue to do the little things that win ball games, they're going to be on the right track. So I really like what Detroit's cooking. Detroit right now in the AL Central, um, They're sitting in third place at 10-7, which says a lot about the division, honestly, because the Twins are 6-10. You know they're gonna bounce back. You just feel like they're gonna bounce back with the amount of talent that they have on that team. They If we're talking on paper, that's the best roster in the AL Central, if you ask me. But right now, yeah, they're just ravished, man. And then the Kansas City Royals are 11-6 right now. I have some nuggets for the Kansas City Royals too, that I'd like to share with y'all because I found it almost unbelievable. Um, so this is for their pitching in particular. The Kansas City Royals have the second best ERA in MLB at 2.29, and they've also thrown the most innings so far at 102 innings. Their starters have now thrown 15 consecutive scoreless innings entering tonight's contest. And that's just the starters. That's just the starters. Because recently they just went undefeated at home. I want to say they won 7 straight at home. And then I was like, wait, how is this even possible? How are they? It's the Royals. No, no disrespect to the guys on the team. I do think they got some guys, but their bullpen ERA in their last 23.1 innings pitched, which were all at home, they posted a 0.77 ERA. The Royals bullpen, along with a pitching staff that's been pitching to 229. So you're like, okay, the Royals they're getting carried by their pitching. But then you go and you look at their schedule, you look at their games, and you look at the amount of runs that they're putting up. I'm talking about 10 runs, 5 runs, 11 runs, 13 runs, 11 runs. They had 2 runs in this game, but they had 4 in another one. And I'm like, man, they're taking off. These guys are really taking off. And they swept the Houston Astros. They blew the brakes off of them in back-to-back games. And they've had some hard-fought victories. So I do like what the Royals are cooking. I'm hoping that they stay at this level because Bobby Witt Jr. is becoming one of my favorite players in the game to watch. Everything this man does on a baseball field is just pure perfection. The way he runs the bases. I was watching some highlights from him. I was just watching some film, and there was a routine fly out. It was a shallow center, and he kind of looked, and then he kind of jogged off the base, and then he saw the center fielder. I don't remember who it was. He saw him getting ready to throw it. He kicks into an extra gear, and he still slides in on time. And this ball went to shallow center. I was like, yeah, this guy's got wheels. I really like the way he goes about things at the plate. He's hitting everything, fastballs, breaking balls. Doesn't matter what you throw to him. And he's taking on a leadership role for these Kansas City Royals. I really do like what Bobby Witt Jr. is cooking here. Royals, please, whatever you do, I know your objective right now is to get a new stadium, but your objective right now should be to build a winner around Bobby Witt Jr. so we can see him play more baseball. Because this guy needs to be a bigger name than he is in just American sports, not even just baseball. Baseball fans, we know about him. But if you're not a baseball fan, you don't know about this guy, and you should. So go out there and win some games, Kansas City. So that's the AL Central. That is a fun division so far. But damn it, so is the NL Central. The NL Central is equally as wild. So NL Central, you may have seen the post. We're just going to start off with Andrew McCutchen, and he's a 300 home run center fielder. 300 home runs. If it sounds like a lot, that's because it is a lot. Uh, McCutchen is one of 9 active players with 300 home runs, and he's the 19th player in MLB history with 300 home runs, 200 stolen bases, and 2,000 hits. Now, there's been debates about whether he's a Hall of Famer or not. And I feel like if he continues to just keep adding on to this resume, He should get in. He should get in because Andrew McCutchen, I mean, he's one of the most likable guys in all of baseball. Um, he's always been a winner. And truthfully, if you look at his run from 2011 to 2015, which some will say is not a long enough run, that'll be the argument against Andrew McCutchen. While the numbers I'm going to tell y'all right now are very impressive, most will say that they happened in too short a span because outside of 2011 and between 2011 and 2015, those are his only All-Star years. But check this out though. Andrew McCutchen, from 2011 to 2015, all games played with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He has a 152 OPS plus, and OPS plus is adjusted to ballparks. It's also adjusted for park factors, and 100 is the league average, and everything above that is a percentile higher. So he is 52% better than the average hitter in that time span. And if you're just a regular OPS person, he had a 905 OPS over that span. That's incredible. That's incredible. Now, he may not have been the slugger that people would like to put in the hall, but hey, look, he's got 4 silver sluggers in center field. He's got a gold glove out in center field. So he's playing some defense. And in that 5-year span, he has 4 top 5 MVP finishes, and they're all All-Star years. He was also in Rookie of the Year voting. He may not be a home run in the Hall of Fame, but I believe if Andrew McCutchen can continue to add on to his resume, there's a conversation that has to be had. And I think that with this to happen in a Pirates uniform was poetic because, he's bounced around a little bit in recent years. He was on the Giants for a little bit. He was on the Yankees for a little bit. That was weird. And then he went to Philly, Milwaukee. So he's bounced around a little bit, came back to Pittsburgh. They welcomed him with open arms because who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? And, at this point in his career, you don't know how much he's going to add on. He's now 37 years old. He is now playing a platoon role, and he's not seeing regular time. So you hope that he can, find some gas in there and just get one more stride and maybe help this young team get to the playoffs. Because Brian Hayes, he feels like they can get there. In spring training, he said, I feel like this year our division is up for grabs. Last year, the Pittsburgh Pirates started 20-9 to start the season. So the question I have for everyone, including myself, is will they fumble it again? Are the Pirates are they going to fumble it? Now, like I did with the other teams, I broke down their schedule a little bit. I'm like, all right, so who are they playing for real? Let's take a look. So they played the Marlins, who we now know are absolutely terrible. They swept them. They've played the Nationals, took 2 out of 3 from the Nationals. Now the Nationals, they've been playing some decent ball, but they're not world beaters by any means. So now you're like, okay, so who are they really playing? So they go and they play Baltimore. They take 2 out of 3 from Baltimore. Those were all fantastic games, by the way. They all finished close. I got the opportunity to watch all 3 of them at least a little bit. And yeah, they were all close. They all had good finishes, as most Oriole games do these days anyway. And then they split with the Tigers. And then they split with the Phillies as well. Phillies was a 4-game series. They took 2 from the Phillies in Philadelphia, including a comeback in one of them. And then they also hit a grand slam in one of them to blow them out. So I like what the Pirates have been doing. I'm a little worried though. They lost Marco Gonzalez. He's going to the IL. He had an ERA that was below 3. You're gonna miss that. Um, and the only thing with Marco Gonzalez is he just wasn't striking out enough guys. But below a 3 ERA, whether it's luck or not, you'll take it. Um, and then Martin Perez, while he's looked good, he's someone who has a history of being more of a first half guy. So post All-Star break, if you're still in this thing and if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates, is he still going to be a contributor? I think that's a valid question. And then, they got a young Jared Jones. We still have to see what he's got going. I think he only has 3 starts under his belt. He's been striking a lot of guys out. I dove into his numbers. He has a 12.5 K per nine. So he's striking out almost 13 guys per 9 innings. And then he's also only walked 2 batters to 25 strikeouts. That's a recipe for success. You're striking guys out, you're not walking guys. So you're hoping that he can keep it up because he does look good so far in this young campaign. And if you want to look at the bullpen's been good. Chapman's been absolutely lights out. They found a second gear for him. Now, do they trade him if they fall out of contention? That's going to be something that's interesting to see. And then, you know, they still haven't even got David Bednar going on the pitching side of things. So the Pirates, a lot of room for optimism, of course, if you're a fan, especially these days. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2015 or something, I believe, 2016, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, Brian Hayes said that the division's up for grabs, and so far he's not lying. I'm looking at the NL Central now, and everyone is relatively close to each other. First to fifth is a game and a half apart in the NL Central. The Cardinals are at the bottom at 8 and 9, and we're freaking out like, oh my God, what's wrong with them? What's going on with Nolan Arenado? And are they gonna bounce back? And then you got the Reds. They kind of came out sluggish, but now they're getting their stride. The Cubs, who I'm high on, I think the Cubs are gonna win the division at the end of the day. But the Brewers too. The Brewers, they're 10-5. They lead the division. So fascinating division right now. You hope that none of these teams fade because this is what we love to see, right? But so far, Brian Hayes, the division is up for grabs, sir. Speaking of Brian Hayes, though, I would like this to be the year that he really pops off. I think the conversation needs to be had. I'm a fan of him. I'm rooting for him. But we're in year 3 of his 8-year deal. At the time, when the Pirates signed this deal, we were like, why would he take that deal? That's a major discount. He only got $70 million over 8 years. We're like, he's cutting himself short. But so far, I think it's fair to ask, has he lived up? Now, again, I understand how high a level of defense this kid plays. Brian Hayes, you can argue he's the best defender at his position in all of baseball. You can argue that, I think. He is a platinum glove caliber player. But I need the bat to get going. Now, so far this season, I'm not going to hate on my guy. He, right now, he's top 10 in walks, 392 OBP. He's walking 15% of the time. I'll take that any day of the week. He's also 18 for 79 in his plate appearances. Of those 18 hits, he has 5 doubles, no triples, no homers. So 18 hits, 5 doubles, 13 singles. So, of course, you'd like to see some home runs there. You'd like to see some pop. I didn't look at his launch angle. I'm thinking of that now as I'm recording the pod. I can pull that up real quick though, just to see what his launch angle is like, to see if he's even getting the ball in the air. From what I've seen from him, I've seen a couple line drives as I watch Pirate games. They don't all find grass, but he's getting hits, and I'm looking forward now. So his launch angle this year, I'm only seeing it by pitch. It is not showing me, but it does show me his expected home runs. He's expected to have 1 home run in 27 of 30 parks. Um, so do with that what you will. But the moral of the story here, couldn't find it in the in the stats here. I'll have to think about that before the show next time. But I do like what he's doing, and hopefully, the plate discipline continues. Hopefully, he continues to get on base. But I'd like to see a few more barrels, and you know, I like to see him really take that leap this year at 27 years old. So this is not to bash Brian Hayes. This is to say that I think that he has a high ceiling more than anything else. Um, but that's the Pirates for you. They are an interesting team. They have a series coming up against the Mets, and the Mets have kind of caught fire a little bit here. They're starting to string together some wins, playing some decent baseball. So we'll see what the Pirates do this week, and hopefully, like I said, the more close divisions we have, the better for us as fans. So I'm just rooting for all these divisions to be close at the end of the day. Um, but I can't talk about the Central and not mention Michael Bush, because my goodness, Michael Bush of the Chicago Cubs, um, this guy is going off. He homered in 5 consecutive games. Um, his stats are ridiculous. So I was looking at his stats. I'm about to pull him up again here. He's hitting 327. He's got a 410 on base, 731 slugging. His OPS, he's got a 1 dot. Anytime you got a 1 dot, you're going off. He's got a 1.141 OPS. So to simplify it, we'll just call it a 1.1. If your OPS is 800, I'll take it. He's almost 400 points above that. Obviously, you don't think that's sustainable, but I really like what Michael Bush has been doing. He finally got an opportunity to play. He was kind of logjam there in the Dodger system. So, he stayed in the minors for a little bit longer than he should have, maybe. He's 26 years old now, and he's just now getting his taste of the big leagues. And yeah, man, this guy is going off. So rooting for you, Michael Bush, and your 205 OPS plus that you got there that you're rocking. Good for you, man. Um, but yeah, both of these central divisions are a blast so far. I really do hope it stays this way. Uh, you just never know. You just never know. The season is still so young, and we have so much more baseball to play. And then you want to dive into the Brewers because they're in first place. Brewers fans would kill me if I didn't talk about their team. How could you do that? We're the first team in the division. We're in the lead. Blah, 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 blah. So, Brewers fans, if you're listening, if you're out there, I'm about to give y'all a little bit of love here. Um, so the Brewers right now, they have the best if you're going by WAR, which I'm not the biggest WAR guy, but if you're going by WAR, they lead the league in WAR with 4.8. The Milwaukee Brewers, they lead the league in WAR. You want to take a look at their OPS. They're right behind Atlanta in OPS. You want to look at their slugging. They're right behind Atlanta in slugging. You want to look at their OBP. Oh, yeah, you guessed it again. They're right behind Atlanta in that. So the Brewers offense has been playing just about as good as the Atlanta Braves, who most of us will say is the best offense in all of baseball. And I'm like, how are they doing it? William Contreras is going bananas. I just want y'all to know that right now. If he continues at this pace, which again, he's batting 390, if he continues to even stay close to that, even if he stays in 300 range, my goodness, talk about coming out, right? Now, you can't talk about this team and not talk about Christian Yelich as well. Christian Yelich is going off again. That's beautiful to see. He's walking just as much as he's striking out. You love to see that. And then Bryce Terang's going crazy. And Jackson Chourio. How could you not talk about Jackson Chourio with this team? The rookie. He's making a name for himself in that clubhouse. He's got a 750 OPS. He's sporting out right now, too. He's striking out a lot, but he's still got his 750 OPS. And then Reese Hoskins. Um, Opening weekend, he got into that exchange with the Mets. They said he did a hard slide, and he was like, wah, wah. He's like, keep crying about it. Wah, which is a whole nother story. But yeah, man, these divisions have been exceptional. And again, I really hope that it stays this way. Uh, their pitching though as well. You have Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta is taking on the ace role there in Milwaukee, and Joe Ross has been playing good ball too. You love to see that if you're a Brewers fan. Um, you hope that Devin Williams comes back sooner than later. Once they get him, their bullpen's not going to be as shaky. I've seen a couple of their games where they're bringing in relievers, and it's been stressful for the most part when it gets to the bullpen. So really need Devin Williams to come back. You know, you have someone in the back end of your bullpen that can get you 4 outs. That's a game changer. So really hoping he comes back sooner than later. And the Central, man, the Central. If y'all ain't watching, watch the Central. Never thought I'd say that, but here we are. This may age poorly. It may be July, and we're like, Mike, what the hell were you talking about, bruh? But right now, the Central's doing this thing. So had to give them their kudos and their flowers on this episode. Um, I feel like it's natural too. Before I end the show, because we're only at the 30-minute mark, which was just about where I wanted to be on this one. But hang with me for like another 5, y'all. Because before we end the show, I feel like we have to talk about the biggest story in baseball right now. I didn't want to cover this, but I couldn't end the show without talking about it because it's just everywhere right now. It's taking all the headlines. And I feel as if I got to get my thoughts off on this one because this is heavily impacting the game that we love. And that is the pitching injuries that we're seeing. Um, it's unbelievable. I'm gonna pull up the list of star pitchers that are currently injured with elbow injuries this season. We're looking at Ohtani. Ohtani's still playing, but he's got a UCL injury. And then you start looking at Cy Young guys: Garrett Cole, Sandy Alcantara, Robbie Ray, Shane Bieber, Jacob deGrom. You're looking at all-stars. You're looking at Walker Buehler, Shane McClanahan. You're looking at guys like Spencer Strider, Perez, Dustin May, Kyle Bradish, and so many more. This game lives and dies by its stars like any other game does. So it's important that we have the game's brightest stars on the field at all times. Obviously, it's sports. Things will happen. Guys will get hurt. That's part of the game. But it had me questioning myself if these elbow injuries are also a part of the game. Is this the ugly side of the game that we love? All these elbow injuries from star pitchers that we all go to the stadium to watch these guys. We're paying good money to watch these guys play. It is an unfortunate reality that this is something that's happening right now because Spencer Strider, some would say, is the best pitcher in the game right now. He was the best young pitcher. He was a front runner at Cy Young. And 2 weeks into the season, he goes down with Tommy John. Shane Bieber goes down with Tommy John 2 weeks into the season. Now, you're probably asking, why is this happening? I had to ask myself that too. Does it have to do with the fabric of the game itself? I know pitching is something that's dumb, for lack of a better term. That's why I never wanted to do it growing up. My dad was a pitcher. My mom's dad was a pitcher. My uncle was a pitcher. And obviously, you would think I'd follow him and I'd be a pitcher. But pitching never looked appealing to me because it's dangerous in nature. And then you're standing on the mound and you're letting this ball that who knows where the hell it's going to go just come at you while you're there defenseless. I think it's borderline insane. So if you're a pitcher, you got bigger balls than me just off that alone, period. But the throwing motion is completely unnatural. And these injuries are going to happen. My grandfather, he had a shoulder injury down in Panama because of this. So I'm going on a tangent now, but I say all of this to say, is this just part of the game? Especially in a game now where velocity And power controls so much of it. And that's on both sides, not even just the pitching. The hitters are going for power too. It's a power versus power game now. And it wasn't always like that. We're looking at velocity. This was a great graphic that I saw by ESPN. And they said we're in the era of chasing velocity. So the rate of four seamers and sinkers at 95 miles per hour or greater. Four seamers and sinkers, 95 plus. In 2008, 13% of the pitches thrown fell in that category. Fast forward to 2023, a 15-year span, we're talking about 35%. So it more than doubled. 95 miles per hour from four seamers and sinkers, almost doubled in a 15-year span. And you're also talking about an era where they're throwing more breaking balls than ever before. Same span, 2008 to 2023. Breaking balls that are 85 miles per hour or greater. 85 miles per hour or greater breaking balls. Also doubled. So not only are guys throwing harder fastballs, they're getting more rotation on their breaking stuff too, which obviously is going to take a greater toll on you because all of that goes into arm motion. I'm not a pitcher. I've never been a pitcher, but the mechanics of acquiring that spin, the friction it puts on your wrists, on your elbow, your shoulders, is greater than ever before. And you're asking guys to do this now with this pitch clock that's implemented. You're asking guys to do this quicker than ever before. So throw harder than ever before and throw it quicker than harder before. And due to all of these breaking balls, there's no such thing as a fastball count anymore. There's no such thing. Back, 15, 20 years ago, it's a 3-0 count, 3-1 count. You're getting a fastball, no doubt about it. Now, you don't know what the hell you're getting. So we're seeing more walks, which means more base runners, which means more stress pitches, which ultimately means more stress on the arms and the elbows. And that also leads to injuries. This is something that I've battled, but I think I'm coping with it now too, because this is irreversible damage. There's nothing that we can do to say, okay, guys, you just don't throw 99 anymore. Let's just ramp it back to 92. Hitters are going to go up there. We're going to have an all offense game. We're going to have home run after home run after home run. You're not getting by with 92 now. Not down the middle. You can maybe paint it and get away with it. But the hitters are so good nowadays. They're the hand-eye coordination, the bat speed, the science of hitting. Guys are launching the ball more now. They're intently putting air under it and avoiding ground balls. This is you just can't lob a 92 down the middle anymore. You can't even throw breaking balls down the middle anymore, truthfully. You see it every day. These hitters are too good. So what is the answer? What is the answer? Because you can't tell guys not to throw velocity anymore. And we're not even getting into the business side of things when it comes to throwing velocity, because you're not getting signed if you don't have velocity these days. I watch college baseball. The kids in college are throwing 95 plus. Paul Skeens was throwing 99 in the College World Series. I think the damage may be irreversible. And that is what depresses me. Now, another question for all of this is, do we make a fundamental change to the game? So I thought about this. Back when we were watching baseball 20 years ago, you would go to the ballpark, you would turn on the TV for starting pitcher matchups. It's Pedro tonight. Pedro's pitching. I'm watching that. You know, so it's not like that anymore. Pedro's giving you 7, 8, 9. Now you're lucky if your starter gives you 6. And then this also stresses a bullpen, because now you're asking guys to come out here and pitch on shorter rest. I was watching the Cubs because I've been watching the Central for this episode, and they used Hector Neris in like 4 straight games. He in a 4 day span, he threw, I think, something like 60 or 70 pitches as a reliever, as a back end reliever on 4 different days. So I think the whole philosophy has changed. Well, I know the whole philosophy has changed. That's just the way that teams manage games now. And I'm wondering if there has to be a fundamental change to incentivize teams to use less pitchers. Or do you expand rosters and now you get more pitchers? Because I think it's a 26 man roster. I think you can have, I think, what is it, 15 pitchers or something like that, 16 pitchers. Um, Maybe expand rosters a little bit more. And if you want to get into the business side of thing, that creates more jobs for guys. Now more guys can grow within the minor league systems, and they can get to the majors now because you need, instead of 15 pitchers, you need 20 pitchers now. And that way you're giving guys more rest. Now instead of having a 5 man rotation, maybe you have a 7 pitch rotation. You have 7 starters, and now they're pitching once a week, so that arm can really rest. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. I'm not saying any of this will work, but we're at a point now where we have to start entertaining ideas to at least attempt to combat this, because this is the ugly reality of the sport, that guys are getting hurt. Some guys are getting multiple Tommy John surgeries. This is ridiculous. You can even look at guys in college. I covered Jack Caglione earlier this season. He already had Tommy John, and he's what, 19 years old, 20 years old. Who's to say that, you never want this to happen? You never want this to happen. I couldn't even say that without saying this. I had to put the disclaimer on it because we're not putting that on him. But who's to say that it can't happen again? So this is something that is multifaceted, multi-layered, sorry. And the Players Association and the league are going to have to figure out a way to just agree on something for once for the greater good of the game. Because both sides right now, they're laughing at each other. The Players Association is saying the pitch clock is the reason for it. The league is saying there's no evidence that the pitch clock causes more injuries. They're saying it's laughable. And both sides, just when it comes to anything, both of these sides can never agree on something. So for the health of players, for the good of the game, for your fans, for your players, for your owners, let's work together on this one and let's figure this out. Because it's going to take cooperation from all sides to stop these pitching injuries from happening. So that's my thoughts on it. Again, very emotional subject. We're talking about the guys that make the game great. Hate to end it on a bad note. So I'll leave it on a good note. And I'll say this. Go Angels. Go Angels, baby. Anthony Rendon. He's been going off. I've been telling my friends in the group chat, you got to start paying attention to Anthony Rendon. I know it's only been like 9 games at this point, 9, 10 games. But his OBP's over 400. He's got multi-hit games in 5 straight games. Mike Trout's looking like an MVP again. You got Logan O'Hoppe, who's coming into his own. You would really like some more pitching from these guys. Now, this is also something that I wasn't sure to talk about, but since I'm on the Angels, who are actually going to be a good topic on the show for once, instead of me bashing them, this is strange. But I guess this is kind of bashing in a way. I hope it's not. But I just want Joe Adele to get more play time on the Angels. Joe Adele, get more playing time. I'm talking to you, Ron Washington. Give this kid some play time. I know we got Aaron Hicks, but we have to see what we can get from Joe Adele. I think Joe Adele still has some of that star power in him. He's still only 24 years old. He just had his birthday the other day, I believe. He's 24 or 25, one of the two. Still very young. Um, he may be one of those change of scenery kind of players, like a Jared Kelenic. I really hope he's not, because I do enjoy watching Joe Adele. I've been following this kid since he was 20 years old. So yeah, man. Get Joe Adell more at bats or trade him. You got to figure out something to do with him. It's unfair for the Angels to just keep this guy on the bench alongside Mickey Moniak to get at bats from the veteran Aaron Hicks. It's not a knock on Hicks, but you got these two young guys. You plan on keeping them. I would assume they're your future. Aaron Hicks is on a 1-year deal. You'd like to get a little bit more out of them just to see what they can do. And the Angels have been winning so far. I know they're a 500 team, which is probably what they'll be all season, a 500 team. But they've been winning some games. They've had some momentum in some of these games. Their pitching still needs help, as always. That's been the same story for the last 10, 15 years. But get Joe Adell more playtime. And that's where I'll leave the show. With that, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all for following. And we got another one of these next week. I don't know what next week gonna be, y'all, but we got something coming next week too. And I'm really hoping that y'all are watching these teams in the Central because it's been a blast. And with that, appreciate y'all at From the Dish on whatever you platform you use, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you use, at From the Dish. If this is your first episode, and stay tuned for another episode next week. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.